Hello, I'm Doug. Welcome to Camino 2020. Today I'm going to be looking at the Sierra Designs Flex Capacitor. Okay, unfortunately this is just going to be a kind of initial impressions video because this pack does not fit me. Once again, my in-between torso length has failed me and I got a pack that was a little bit too tall for me. This pack only comes in two sizes, so I had to kind of go with the medium large versus the small. I went for the medium large. I was right on the edge. I believe the pack is too big for me. So I won't be taking it on any big trips anytime soon, but I do want to go over the pack before I send it back. So initial impressions. Number one, it's just a great bag. It's just really well made. It is simple. Although it's got compression straps all over it, it's pretty obvious how they work, and the outside is very clean. Now, part of that cleanliness comes from not having a big front mesh storage pocket, which I happen to like a lot. I know a lot of people like it a lot, so if that is something that is important to you, you might want to look elsewhere. As I mentioned in a previous video, the point of all these compression straps is that you can take this 60-liter pack down to almost zero. If you pull all these straps tight, you can barely get your hand down through the top opening. On the sides, you do have some fairly short stretch mesh pockets. This mesh is very strong. However, they are not very tall. So if you are rocking the 1 liter smart water bottle, there's a chance they're going to topple out. Now, the good news is you do have lots of compression straps. So if you're using this for tent, pole, trekking pole storage, you're not going to have any problem with that. One of the beauties of this pack is that the compression straps are buckled. So you're not having to pull it all out, feed everything through and tighten it down. You can actually just buckle right over the top of your equipment. Coming around to the back, Sierra Designs has opted for an oversized pad at the lower back that sits right on top of the iliac crest. Very comfortable. You also have two fairly robust pads that press into the shoulder blades from behind you. Again, this pack is not adjustable, so you have to get it right. And then you have the typical load lifter sternum strap hip belt array. The hip belt is contoured. As you can see, if you let go, it doesn't just flop over. It's got a nice wide double webbing hip belt. And the pockets are some of the best that I've ever seen on a backpack of this size. I love that the zippers come down in the front, so very easy access. You can actually get into these pockets easily while the pack is on, and they are wide enough to get a 6-inch phone through. Not a lot in the way of shoulder strap storage. You do get some pretty stretchy bands across the top here, and that is it, other than the included and non-removable pouch that you see right here. This does have a little drawstring, so you can clamp something down on top of it. If that's where you keep your water bottles, you don't have to worry about the side pockets. Bottom, no straps. You've got 2 loops across the bottom for ice axe, trekking pole. That's about it for the outside. The top of the pack is accessed not through a removable or flopped over lid. Instead, you've got a fairly minimal top slot pocket and the top opening. As you can see, it is angled down. Once this opens, this just pops open and your stuff is right there. Inside the pack, you've got a removable hydration pouch. This just unclips and you can get rid of it. Inside, you can actually see this very lightweight Y-shaped frame that focuses the weight down onto the iliac crest to get the weight honed in and kind of in a V almost centered on this pad right here. And that is definitely what it feels like when it's on. I mentioned earlier about the compression straps. So taking this from 60 liters down, let's see what happens. So have a look. The bag really does compress down to practically nothing if you use those straps. So the beauty of the Flex Capacitor is that its capacity flexes. You can crank this down to about a 10-liter day pack, only with the suspension system of a much larger pack. and you really don't give up a whole lot in the way of weight. This pack standard weighs in at about 46 ounces, which puts it at only 6 ounces heavier than, say, the Osprey 38 or the Gregory Optic 48. As I've said in other videos, I really do think that a decent Camino loadout should fit easily within a pack that is around 40 liters. So what is the point of getting a pack that's 20 liters bigger? Well, it just really depends on the way you pack and the things you need to bring. A lot of people get really bent out of shape when they think you're bringing too many things on the Camino, but ultimately what you're doing is adding to weight and probably adding to the cost of the pack. But these are not really quantity problems as in the number of things you're bringing, but the weight of them. And it is possible, indeed it has happened to me, where a single item that is not superfluous and doesn't weigh that much simply doesn't pack down all that well. So for example, back when I was in college, I bought a pretty nice 3-season mummy bag, sleeping bag from Moonstone. And it's a good sleeping bag. This is not a heavy bag, this is not a car camping bag. Now, it is synthetic, and it simply doesn't pack down as well as a nice down-filled sleeping bag. And the first time that I put it into my 38-liter pack, it took up like half the pack. Now, of course, I can get it into a stuff sack and just crank that thing down, stand on top of it, pull those straps until I'm just about to burst, and I could have shrunk it down a bit more and fit it in the pack. But number one, that's not really the way I like to pack sleeping bags. I prefer to just put them in the pack, let them fill in the corners, and pack stuff on top of them. It's better for the bag, it's better for packing. Now, if I have something like this, however, I can gently pack the sleeping bag in the pack, get my other, say, 25, 30 liters of stuff on top of it, and I'm going to have a very nice, comfortable bag that is going to cinch down to the exact size for the things that I'm putting in it. Having a 38-liter backpack is great if that's how much stuff you have. But if you don't have any way to compress it around the things you have, the carry isn't going to be as good. So I would just advise you to not make a weight problem into a volume problem. They don't always go together. Or maybe there's just a piece of equipment that you need that others typically don't, but you've really got to have it, and it takes up space. Even though it doesn't necessarily add a lot of extraneous weight, it's got to go somewhere. And for my money, I'd rather have a pack that can fit my stuff perfectly, even if there is maybe a temptation to bring too many things because the volume is higher than some other pack. For me, it's more important to have the pack fitted perfectly to what I'm carrying than to just be able to be proud of my overall volume. Now, this pack only weighs 46 ounces. That puts it clearly within the range of a more typical Camino size backpack. So you're not giving up anything on weight. What's the price? It's about $200, which is about the price of practically all the other Camino size packs that I've looked at. So for what it is, this pack is very inexpensive, it is very high quality, it is very low weight. And because of the compression strap system that it gives you, it can basically be any size you need up to 60 liters. Now you've got to be honest with yourself. If you're going to undo all the straps and pack a 60-liter pack as big as it can go just because you have the volume, maybe this is not a good idea for you. However, if you happen to have some gear that you just don't want crammed in, smashed in, sticking out, bulging through your pack, and you're more concerned about the end weight of the pack than the volume number that's written on the name of the pack, the Sierra Designs Flex Capacitor might be the one for you. Alright, so how does the pack feel when it's on? I've got this loaded up with 2 moving blankets plus 15 pounds worth of dumbbell weights, and so it's a pretty decent load, but not too terribly extreme. Let's start with the positives. The padding on the bottom is very nice. It just puts the weight of the pack in this area about this big around, sitting right on the back of the iliac crest. I just get the feeling that it's really utilizing that shelf back there, and the weight is sitting really nicely on it. Now again, this pack is not fitting me correctly. You can see that the straps are just kind of launching up there. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the weight load carrying capacity because it's just not a very fair test with the straps not even sitting on my shoulders. However, I can say that if the straps were fitted correctly, this pack would only get better. Another thing that the back panel does is it pushes the pack away from the back. It's kind of hard to see this in the video, but there is an amazing amount of space back here. I can scratch my back, I can reach up in between my shoulder blades. It's almost like the pack isn't even there because it's arched a little bit, and those pads keep the back of the pack from coming in contact with your body. So as far as airflow goes, this thing is going to be fantastic. Okay, moving up the pack is where I start to have a bit of a problem. The first time I put this pack on, my initial impression was stiff. This pack just felt like it was pushing into me, not very soft, not cushiony. It made me think of what it might feel like to be on one of those board stretchers, you know, that they put you on to get you in an ambulance. The back pads are just pushing into my shoulder blades. The padding on the shoulder straps seems adequate, but the way this is cut, it's just digging into my shoulders. If I go like this, I'm just getting sliced right across here. And if I pull the sternum strap tighter to pull them away from the shoulders, now the inside of this is flaring out and digging into my chest. Now, again, this pack is not the correct size for me. It is possible that the padding would soften up over time, and maybe it even feels that way by design. You know, maybe if the pack was fitted correctly, it would be more comfortable, but to be honest, I was rather shocked at how stiff this whole thing felt. And then one other thing I wanted to point out was this carry pouch that comes on the strap. I like the idea of this. Just stick a water bottle in there, don't got to worry about a clip. You don't have to get one of those carabiner things and have it, you know, smacking around on you. This is great. It rides really well. It's tight. You can tighten it down if you need to. The trouble that I have is that this pouch is not adjustable, nor is it removable. So if you've got a 1 liter smart water bottle, bonk, this is going to be like right in your face the whole entire time. Like I said, unfortunately, I will not be taking this pack out on the trail with me because it does not fit me correctly, and I don't want to give the pack an inaccurate review based on the fact that I got the wrong size. Now, whether or not I get the other size is going to depend largely on how much I like the other packs I'm testing out right now, and you can find out about those elsewhere. I hope this video has helped you out in your decision for your backpack for the Camino. If it has, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click that bell notification so that I can tell you when the next videos come out. Thanks a lot, and until next time, buen Camino.